Hey everyone, welcome back to the Speak Up Erika podcast. And in today's episode, we have part 2 with Post Grad Sad with Mango. Hey Mango!
Yay!
Yay! Woo!
I want you to know that every time I say yay like that, like, you know the sound of like little kids saying yay? In my head, that's what I hear.
Kind of like the edit when you're hearing TV shows and like kids shows. Yeah.
That's exactly what I hear. So I say it a lot and I'm like, people are not responding to this the way that I intend for them to because they're not hearing what I hear. So
Oh, they're not hearing like the kids saying yay.
no, they're not.
To start off part 2, then Mango, I'll start off with a question then. So from the last episode, we did talk about our journey with post-grad and from like feeling different types of emotions that are negative, I guess you could say. Can you kind of go into more detail about where that sadness came from, I guess?
Yeah, I think when you're a university student, you're on 24/7. Either you're in class or you're working or you're doing extracurriculars. And right now, like as a person that's not in school anymore, when I get home from work, I can relax. Like I don't have anything obligations to do. Like I don't have kids or anything, so I can just go waste time, like just relax, take care of myself. And that's something I really lacked in university. I just felt like none of my time was my own. And what I think we identified in the last podcast as senioritis really was just very, very bad burnout. Like I think I was just super burnt out.
Wow.
And I think that like the same way that it took a toll on my body, like physically I put on weight. I just felt super unhealthy, like had like stomach pain and like I just felt like an old woman. I also feel like mentally it was like I just wasn't being healthy to myself for 4 years. And then at the end of it, my mental health was just really like unhealthy. And yeah, I wasn't putting good things into my body. I was just like literally sometimes I would be at school all day and all I would have it was like chai tea and like Cheetos and Swedish berries. It's probably not the best way to fuel your body, but like I was trying to get science done, like, you know? So I think that's where a lot of the mental health issues came into play. And then there's like also in university you have it's like a very uncertain time and you get like it's easy to get really anxious because the whole point of being in university is to better your future, and the future is such a scary place. It's such an unknown. That was part of the reason why I think after that I was just super burnt out, and that's the point where you're supposed to be building, and I couldn't build.
Yeah. Wow. I never, like from you saying it, I never considered it, but then now I realize that I feel like I went through the same thing too, just because like you're hustling so hard in university that you don't take a step back and just like think or reflect or think about like what's happening in university, if that makes sense.
I think that like I think the age 21 to 22 was when I graduated 21, right? I think people graduate from like 21 to 23. And it's like such a weird time, I think, even physiologically for your body. So I honestly think that the 20s is like adult puberty, like early 20s. Because
it is.
When I got into university, I was legitimately a kid. I was 17 years old. I was like so skinny. I look back, I'm like, wow, I thought I was fat. I was like, like I was 17 when I got into university.
Because you're December baby, yeah.
Yeah, December. Like, so sad. I wasn't able to drink till second semester. But ghetto.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, like I was so young, and like I made this huge decision about what program I was going to be in. And like, I think that from like the first 2 years, I was literally still a kid. And then all of a sudden, like in my fourth year, like it was just like physiologically your body becomes more adult-like, like if you look at first years and you look at fourth years, like they look so different. Like first years literally look like little kids, and then fourth years look like grown people. And like, maybe someone will do research into like if there's actually scientific reasons why your early 20s, like sometimes I feel like my hormones were just weird, like out of control,
Yeah. Whoa, I didn't even think about that. Well, for me, I started university pretty, I guess, late.
Not late, only we took a year off.
I took a year off, yeah. I don't know. I feel like in parents' eyes, that's late.
Yeah, no, I hear.
And by society standards, yeah. I was 19, 18, no, 19. Yeah, then I was 19 years old then. And yeah, I'm sorry, by society standards, I feel like when I told my parents that I wasn't, it's hard to say that you're not ready because everyone's telling you that in 18 you have to be ready. So to not be ready at that age and be like, no, I want to do more school, like I want to do a lap year or whatever, in their eyes it's kind of seen as like you're a failure.
Yeah.
Right?
Which is really, really dumb, and I hate that we do this. Like, relevant to that, I feel like timelines are so, like, arbitrary. Like, we've kind of regimented everything into, like, school, school, school. Like, you know, this, do that, do that. And it's like, it doesn't fit into everyone. And it's such a huge investment to not be ready when you go into university. It's such a waste of money. Because even in our school, like, more than half of the kids in first year don't make it to second year. And first year's like $8,000. That's $8,000 just for tuition down the drain. Like, you wasted it. What did you get out of that experience? Just trauma. So, like, you taking that year off probably was the best thing you ever did because you came into school, like, mature, ready, right? And, like, that's what I also feel like. I don't think anyone is actually ready for university. I don't think I was ready for, I mean, academically, I think I was, but, like, emotionally for, like, the social life, and, like, I was 17. I was, like, so naive. I was so young, like, so sheltered, and then you just go into this big world of school, and, like, you just, that's in itself is a huge trauma. Like,
yeah, like before I got accepted into the programs I applied to when I was 18, like in grade 12 or whatever, before I did a lap year, but I knew that I didn't want to go forward because I was so unsure, which is like you were as well, right? Yeah, I just felt that I wasn't ready, and I didn't want to waste money going into something that I didn't know if I even wanted to do. But I feel like I've also, like, for my own pace, that I've been going at a slower rate because, for example, after people were done undergrad, they went straight into their masters or straight into their post grads, where for myself, like, I was like, oh my gosh, I mean, we talked about this too in the previous episode, but I think part of it was debt, but then another part of it was me telling myself that I wasn't ready yet either.
Yeah, no, I totally hear. That's exactly how I felt. I was just like, I literally just came from struggling every single day of this 365 2018 year to submit assignments that I literally did not, with every fiber of my being, want to do. I hated doing them. Like, to submit them, to prepare for presentations, to do group projects. And, like, I was just like, I don't want to do that again. Like, I want to take a break from doing this. Like, this cannot be my life for the next 2 years again, right? So, and I think that's something that's, like, really underlooked, because when you're doing something like your master's, like, you want it to be the best work. You want your thesis to be something that, like, you're passionate about, and you want to contribute to that academic field that you're in, right? So I just felt like if I go into grad school now, what am I going to contribute? I'm a marshmallow. I have no brain cells left, right? Like, it was just, and I felt ashamed. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I felt like a failure. I'm like, this is what, like, high level education is, what I'm supposed to do. This is, like, what everyone's told me is what you're, after you get your master's. Like, I mean, I don't know if I'll ever get a PhD, but, like, you go from being someone that's so academically focused, and then it's embarrassing when you feel like a failure and that you can't keep up with the rest of your peers who are doing these things, you know? And that makes you so much worse. Because, again, my mental health was already very weak, and then I'm like, then you're comparing yourself and you're feeling like a failure, and it's not a healthy thought process. And I forgive myself for thinking like that, but at the time it was very damaging.
I'm proud of you for forgiving yourself, though, Cheech. That's awesome that you said that.
Yeah, thank you.
I think it's so interesting that, because right now I feel like we're talking about going to university equals success, right? That's what we're talking about. And one of my jobs after graduation was, a lot of people in the company don't have university degrees or have like a college degree or anything like that. And, or even maybe they didn't even finish high school. But some of the people that were in there were very successful people. And they had like bought their own house at age 20 or something, or they have cars, you know, like they have the type of success that we think is, that we label as success, I guess, like our house and family or whatever. So it's interesting because, like, being then at that point I just felt so confused because like, did I need to even go to university to be successful? Or
Mhm.
and then I think it comes down to just defining what it even means to you, like what
Yeah.
success means to you. Yeah.
I honestly, like, I hear you so much, but I kind of feel like the world has changed so much to the
Yeah.
point where I think, especially the degree that we have, was so necessary. Like, I mean, at the time we recorded the first episode, like the first part,
Yeah.
I was in a different job, and I just got a different job now. And like, I feel like I got my new job because of my degree, and like, I beat people in the competition because of our degree.
Mm-hmm.
Like other people that were applying because of like that specific knowledge set that I have and that critical thinking and like the proof that I can do it and like knowledge of specific things like I don't know, random things like change management or using buzzwords. Like I know the words to use for specific things, right? Like, and I don't know, you can maybe learn that over time, but in today's society when everyone's competing for jobs, I do think that having a degree has helped me. I'm not sure like if the world is still the world where like my dad told me that when we came to Canada, he was making $16 an hour. And I'm like, you had me and my mom and y'all, they bought a condo. Like the world is so different now. And I don't think that's like Toronto's so much more expensive now. So I don't really necessarily know if it's like the world is the same, and I would still recommend that everyone at least try to get some sort of education.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I think just
Yeah.
have a healthier approach to it. Don't be competitive.
Yeah.
Balance. Focus on balance and taking care of yourself, even when you're in school. Don't overwork.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so true. And it's hard because no one's gonna tell you what your path is like, and you just have to figure that out for yourself.
Yeah.
And you don't figure it out unless you're in it.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I don't know what I'm doing. I still
Yeah.
don't think I haven't figured it out.
Yeah.
So like, it's just I think what if anyone's listening to this, like who's in university now or even like the same age as us or older, like I think the biggest takeaway from this whole thing is focus on the things that you can control and take care of, like yourself. That's the one thing you can control is taking care of yourself, like in a meaningful way.
Yeah.
I was talking to you about talking to you about this earlier, but like when I say I'm depressed, like I feel like I'm afraid to use that word,
Mm-hmm.
but it's because like there's a lot of brain fog around that time, so I didn't realize like a lot of the things that happened. Now I've been thinking about them like this past week just because of the podcast we did.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to my brother. I was looking at my brother, and I remember at that time he would come into my room and he'd be like, "What's wrong with you? Why are you just lying down all day? I came and I met you in the same spot," and like he would try to like make jokes and like make me happy, and like I had just finished crying, like, and he was like, "Are you crying?" I'm like, "No, I'm not crying. Like, what's wrong with you? My eyes are just watering. There's dust in here." Like ashamed that I was like crying the whole day, basically. And
Mm-hmm.
these are the ugly things that people don't talk about and that you forget about once you're out of it, almost. And
Yeah.
like he's like, "Are you depressed? Is this what depression is?" And he was like, I think he was actually concerned because I like again, like I was in bed all day. All I could do was cry. Like just got up to eat and then go to work, you know? It was actually when looking back, it was a depressive episode. And I'm afraid to use that word because I didn't go to therapy and no one told me that it is. But for
Mm-hmm.
me, I feel like that was what depression looks like. Um and it's not, it's really, like, you don't take showers sometimes for 2 days. My hair, you don't wash your hair. No, it's very, very ugly. You wear the same clothes, you take a shower, put on the same dirty clothes because like you don't want to do laundry. Like that's what I mean. It's ugly. It's not pretty at all.
Mm-hmm.
And my room was a mess. Like it's a very ugly time. And
Mm-hmm.
it's because I was just when I started taking care of myself and like I mean showering regularly, which I love to do. I love taking showers, love exfoliating, like, you know, making my bed, which I don't do, but like there's bed sheets on it. That's an improvement. You know, like thank you. You know, like spending time with people that I love, eating donuts, you know, it's the small
Yeah.
things.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing about that, Cheech. I feel like I mean, I can totally relate to you because I myself have gone through just like crying in bed for a whole week.
Yeah.
And to me, I haven't, like, in the beginning of quarantine, because I was going through a lot of stuff mentally as well, like, I didn't shower for a week, and that sounds disgusting to say out loud,
It's
but
not because
yeah.
it's brutal. Like, that's what it is like when you're
That's
depressed.
just,
Don't
yeah.
be ashamed.
And you like don't communicate with anyone. You're just like by yourself, just feeling what you're feeling.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that, like, when you talk about it with other people, it takes away the shame of
Yes.
the situation. Because, like, again, that's a very ugly part of, I think, depression that people don't talk about. And then when you feel so ashamed about your mental situation, it just almost, like, it makes it harder to try and get help, Like, because I feel like you have to talk about what you really were going through in order for you to accept it for yourself, And if you're afraid to talk about those embarrassing things, then, like, you get what I'm saying? Am I making sense?
No, I understand what you're saying. I guess in the other episode that we did together, I know we were talking about like you going up the stairs and all that stuff, and that how you were going through a hard time. Did you ever talk to anyone about what you were going through during like that period of time in university?
No, I didn't. I think I didn't talk to anyone because, like, again, like, I had so many distractions.
Yeah.
To the fact, like, and I also didn't realize I was depressed. Like, I didn't, like, when you're in that mind state, and when your brain is at that level, you're like deep into it. So you're just like, you're not thinking about how you're thinking. You're just thinking the way that you are.
Yeah.
Like,
it makes sense.
Oh, why am I sad? Like, now I'm a lot more. Like, I've always been a very self-reflective person, which does contribute to my stress levels. So I overthink a lot, but you're not being as like, now I'm like, why do I feel this way today? Why am I so down today? Okay, this happened this morning, or like I was thinking about this last night. Like, now it's kind of continued to today.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like in university, I was like focused on getting my diploma. Like, there was points where I was like, I was afraid I wasn't gonna get my degree. Like, I would have nightmares of like getting like Blackboard notices like 0 out of 10. Like, oh my, I literally had nightmares. Like legit, like, would wake up sweating. Like, and I still have actually those nightmares to this day of like, oh, you had this outstanding assignment, now you were not be able to pass this class. And I was just like, that was the things I was thinking about. And so I didn't really, and I felt like I knew that I was feeling bad, but I didn't identify it as depression. And I also like, other people were not affirming it for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like I was in pain
by yourself.
People were not, like, I'd make jokes and stuff, and people wouldn't see the pain in the jokes that I made, Like, I was crying for help, and then, like, no one was like, oh, are you okay? It was just like, oh, why would you say that? Or like, oh, like, what's wrong with you? I told you about this. Like, I made a joke. I was like, oh, maybe I'll just die. Like, that's like something like a suicide joke. And someone was like, don't ever make that joke again. It's not funny. Like, they got mad at me, and I was like, I don't know. It was like a really uncomfortable experience, because I was like, oh, you're getting mad at me? Like, now if people make jokes about suicide, I'm like, yo, do you need a hug? Are you okay? Like, tell me everything. What's going through your head? Why would you joke about that? Like, like, I take it all more seriously than the way I was treated. It's kind of weird, but
I can understand the perspective of, like, from your side, and also the person who said don't say stuff like that, because maybe they've experienced people who have passed away because of suicide and got triggered by that word, maybe. Or like some people, I'm not saying that it's you, but some people who are very insensitive to topics like that, and they just like mess around and joke around about death and whatever.
Yeah.
And I guess to them it would be in a similar sense, like that's how they interpret it as. Yeah. But I understand your side too, where it's like you're trying to cry out for help, but it wasn't communicated in a way that they understood it.
No, I hear that, and I think that, like, I guess I've grown from that. I feel like for a lot of, I think maybe even just Caribbean women, or like Black women, or Black people in general, honestly, mental health is not something that we talk about. Or like sometimes, like, there's this whole thing about having to be strong. Because this is obviously super cliche to talk about. Like, so many people have discussed this, but I definitely felt the pressure to be strong all the time, and so that adds to it too, right? You just don't feel like you're allowed to be weak and cry and be like, oh, I feel sad today, like or I'm down today, or like I feel like I can't do everything that I need to do with my life. You just have to be like, I need to just figure out a way to do it. I need to balance all of this stuff. I need to, and it's never about like I want to or I should. It's always about like I need to, and like that is part of the problem, because then I just didn't know how to tell people that I was in distress, like how to be like, hi, Erika, like, until after, like, when we were hanging out, and I'd be like, and you were also open too, like, that also helps because you were open about your mental health and like the things that you were going through. And then I felt more comfortable sharing. And I think at that time, after 4th year, like we were always close, but I think our friendship really deepened in that time because we were talking about like we were opening up to each other a lot more because it was like a mutual sharing, you know? And I felt comfortable telling you things that I couldn't tell other people because I felt like you could relate, you know?
Yeah. And it's so crazy that we just get it. Like we both just get each other, which is so, it's hard to find in other people sometimes. Like, you know, some friendships that I have, they're more, I wouldn't say superficial, but it's a different type of relationship where I don't talk about, like maybe it's a more joking friendship or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you don't get that with every friendship, even though I love like all my friendships, right? But yeah, it's awesome that we're able to find that with each other.
Mm-hmm. And then even like with my other friends that you know, like my other 2 best friends or like 3 best friends, like you know, well at that time it was 2, now it's 3. I've reconnected with someone who interestingly we had a conversation and she was also going through stuff, and like I think that my friends and I, like even in 2019 because of COVID, we had a lot of really like super personal conversations about our mental health throughout our childhood and now. And we're like, we have been friends since we were 14 years old and none of us discussed how we were feeling ever. We just were miserable and horrible to each other at times. And like now we're looking back and like we could have been there for each other if we had just opened up and been like, this happened at home, or like I was like, you know, this is what's happening in my life, this is how I'm feeling. We could have been there for each other because we were all going through the same kind of thing. And now that, like, I mean, it's 2020 hindsight, but now like it's deepened our friendship because if I'm going through something, I know I can call them and be like, this is what happened today, and just like rant to them if they have the emotional space to listen. And it just helps me heal. Like I feel like I have that backbone now for people I can be honest with and like not feel ashamed about how I'm feeling.
Yes. I think that's part of growing up and just learning how to speak up, but learning how to talk, learning how to talk about those things with your friends that are like important topics when we were growing up we didn't know how to address.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. At the end of the day, with all these like podcasts or just conversations that I have, everyone is going through it, but like having to say it out loud or speak to it with someone is one of the hardest parts because like you're besties with someone for X amount of years, but you just don't know how to say it to them. Yeah. So, but that's awesome that you were able to open up with each other, like after so long too. I can't imagine.
Yeah, and it was like we cried, like ugly cried together. I mean, you and I have ugly cried a lot together too.
Yeah.
Like, but it was just like so healing because it was I always have this thing of feeling kind of invisible, and I felt so seen in those moments with my friends, and it was such a validating experience. And like now whenever I feel like that, I'm like, you're actually feeling this, like this is actually a problem, address it now, you know. Whereas before I was like trying to like hide it from myself, hide it from everyone else, like at that time when I was depressed, I thought I saw it as me being weak, and like even afterwards, like after graduation, after university, like I felt embarrassed. I was like, you're just so weak, that's why you're not moving forward in life. You can't do it. Instead of like, you need to take better care of yourself and you need to take the proper steps to be able to do it. Like you can do it, you're just not ready right now, you know.
Exactly. Yeah, I love that. Even when you're talking about, I mean, with the whole mental health, there's so many factors that affect it too. And you were talking about like cultural factors, and even I guess also in Asian culture, like it's not really talked about too, or specifically Filipino culture. And that I feel like the stereotype for ours is that we have to be quiet and compliant. Don't say anything type of thing. I don't know if that is also part of it with some people in like my culture too, I guess.
Yeah.
But there's so many like different things that affect your mental health. For you, it was school and just like what you're going through personally and like family life and this and that, and everything just piles on and you're just like, wait, whoa. Like hold on type of thing.
For sure. And I think that's really interesting that you said that about like Filipino culture, because I mean, I also love what you did with your book and with your podcast, like, because I remember like you're a quiet person, and obviously until people get to know you, then like you talk a lot and we never stop talking. But like I feel like I definitely see like there's a different confidence in you now, and I think that like it's a beautiful thing to see. You've definitely grown up and you're more outspoken and you'll stand up for yourself a lot more now. And I think also from being a quiet person before, you're a really good like listener and like a good understander too. So like that probably helps too with like, I think building healthy relationships does contribute to building healthy mental health.
Nice. Yeah.
Like that's one thing I wrote down to speak about today. I feel like environment is like, for me, was the biggest stressor for like mental health. I guess to end off, I think that my takeaway from my experience with at that period of my life of being that depressed or sad was my your environment and how you treat yourself and lifestyle can really contribute to your mental health. I was a child trying to live as like a big woman, like be an adult, to take on a lot of things, take on the world, and being really ambitious. And I feel like I didn't learn till afterwards how to balance it and how to like do it in a healthy way where I wasn't like burning myself out. Even now at work, sometimes I'm doing stuff and I'm like, y'all, I just need 5 minutes to like take a break because I can't do this anymore. Like I'm getting burnt out. Like I know what my limits are now. And I'm kind to myself enough to be like, hey, I just need to like, sometimes I have all of my notifications on all social media off. If I want to look at Instagram, I'm looking at Instagram. People know if you need to catch me and you really need to say something to me, like you're going to text me, right? Yeah. I mean, now I spend too much time on Discord, but that's a whole other story. But like, you know, like setting boundaries for yourself. I feel like I'm just listing out ways that really helped me get into a better, healthy mind, like mental health. But I think I had a lot of support that people that were around me that loved me that really helped me get out of it. I think that's one of the things that I was missing from the last episode. We didn't really talk about too much in detail, like how I got out of it or how you get out of a depressive episode, you know?
Yeah, or like experiencing depressive symptoms, I guess. Yeah. No, yeah, thank you for sharing about that because I think it is really important. There's so many different things in terms of environment because it's environment in your own headspace. That's part of it. And then environment in the like physical realm, I guess. And I think part of that is not I appreciate my parents so much and everything that they've given to me, especially as like immigrants and stuff. But at the same time, me and you have talked about this a lot, that it's like in your head you just want to be free and just have your own space, and not having that yet because you're not there yet is part of a reason that like a battle in yourself, I guess.
It's like feeling ready to like leave the nest, but then you can't fly away because you know you just can't. You're restricted. There's like I feel like a bird in a cage, you know. It's like being that like you have these huge wings that you're ready to fly with and like decorate your own house and like, you know, be an adult and be independent, have friends over, all that stuff.
Going back to the environment thing, I think that was something I really had to figure out this year. And for so long, I was never at home. And maybe it's because I neglected it so much and I was always out and like doing stuff outside and going out or whatever. But being in quarantine, obviously, we have to be at home. And part of that was changing how I felt about my space and how I envisioned my future home to be like, maybe. Even though you feel restricted and you can't do certain things, there's ways that you can kind of help change it into an environment that you want to wake up to.
Which you said something that I think is so important, but like envisioning what you want, because I think that's like something that I learned this year is that, I mean, we all buzzwords, manifestation, vision boards, but like the actual, like, if you're unhappy with the place that you're in, it's really easy to like just wallow in that unhappiness and like focus on it. But if you just focus on what you want and how you're gonna get there, you'll get there. And that's a way healthier mindset to have than just being sad about where you are. And I think that's what I did too much at that time. Just by default, like through, again, healthy relationships that I built and opening up to people and then starting to like eat better. And I'm like, I literally just started eating a lot healthier because I had the time. And like, and I also like went to Trinidad and I connected more with my family there a little bit. And, you know, those kind of things, I think like it helped me to start changing my mindset just naturally because I was like around positive people who also were changing their mindset and had, and have friends who were going to therapy, and I was kind of like stealing their therapy because like the things that they were learning, like I applied to myself.
For sure. So, yeah, I think part of it too in like wrapping up this whole Post Grad Sad is that a huge environment is school, right? And you're put into that environment, as you said, like even if you go home, it doesn't leave you because you're still doing school. Even like that part of being in that environment is like maybe that's what makes you feel trapped, and then that's what causes the sadness part as well, that you don't realize too.
Yeah. You have to let go of that student mindset. After I let go of that, I was like, I have all this time that's just for me. I think that what you said about home, dreading being at home, I also dreaded being at home because that for me, when I was in my room, it was like assignment time. Like I kind of associated that space with like the place where I go to sleep after I'm exhausted, where I go to eat food, and where I go to work and do assignments I don't want to do, right? And then now I'm like changing, like my room can be where I make art, my room can be where like I dance, my room can be where I like get ready in the morning and drink my matcha. Like it can be a beautiful place.
You just have to like change it for yourself.
Yeah, and you redo your room a lot too. And I like every time I come, I'm like, wow, this is beautiful. And I think that really helps.
I think I redo it so much because I don't want things to be stagnant, and then also probably like whatever I was going through in that time frame, maybe.
Yeah. You and I are so different in that sense because like you like change, I hate change. I do not adjust well to change at all. Like,
oh, interesting.
Pretty sure my room has had the same setup mess since I've been in this room. Yeah, I do not like change, and that also contributed to my mental health because there were so many things changing at once.
Yeah.
And it was like the biggest change you can experience is not having the next step in your life. It just being open. It's like completing a video game and it's like, okay, just explore the game now, and you're just like, what? There's no other levels?
No structure. Yeah. That's true.
And that also, like, understanding your perspective in life, like you like change and that makes you happy, so then changing that small thing can like, increase your happiness. For me, I don't like change, so I need to do everything in my life to make sure that things do not change, or I need to no, I'm joking. Or I need to do things to be like to build up my inner strength to be able to accept change. Because I'm working on accepting that like I am never going to be as skinny as I was when I was 17. It's not happening. I was underweight. Like it's not going to be there. I played soccer like 3 times a week. It's not happening. That's a change I need to accept. Stuff like that.
But also a change that it's like your body can be better than it was when you were
That's true.
Age, right?
That's true.
Well, thank you so much to everyone who's listened. And thank you to Mango for sharing again about all of this stuff. I feel like it's just awesome that we're able to talk about this and just be like transparent and vulnerable. And so everyone watch out for Mango in future episodes. She will be a frequent guest here. Yeah, thank you so much.
No, thank you. And I'll see you in 35 seconds on the Rift.
Yes, we're gonna play League now. Thank you for everyone for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.